The world entering 2026 is not just uncertain, it is structurally unstable. According to the World Economic Forum, only 1% of global experts expect the year ahead to be calm. That number alone tells a story. It suggests that instability is no longer an exception, it has become the baseline. The Global Risks Report 2026, published by the World Economic Forum, is one of the most influential annual assessments of global threats, based on insights from policymakers, economists, and industry leaders worldwide. It evaluates risks across economic, environmental, technological, and societal dimensions, offering both short-term and long-term outlooks. The core theme of this year's report reflects a major shift, from an era of cooperation to what experts describe as an age of competition, where nations increasingly prioritize strategic advantage over collective progress. At the center of this shifting global landscape lies a new dominant force, geoeconomic confrontation. This is not simply about nations competing for influence, it is about nations actively redesigning the global system to serve their own strategic interests, often at the expense of others. We are entering an era where control matters more than cooperation. Section 1. What is geoeconomic confrontation? Geoeconomic confrontation represents a fundamental shift in how power is exercised globally. Traditionally, economic relationships were viewed as mutually beneficial. Trade agreements, supply chains, and financial systems were designed to create shared growth. But today, these same systems are being repurposed as instruments of strategic pressure. Countries are now restricting access to critical resources such as lithium and rare earth elements, fully aware that these materials are essential for clean energy, electronics, and future industries. By controlling these inputs, nations gain leverage over entire technological ecosystems. At the same time, investment flows are being tightly regulated. Access to advanced technologies like artificial intelligence and quantum computing is no longer open. It is selectively granted, often based on geopolitical alignment. Perhaps the most striking transformation is the weaponization of supply chains. Ports, shipping routes, and manufacturing hubs are no longer neutral infrastructure, they are strategic assets. Consider the Strait of Malacca, which handles a significant portion of global trade, or the Suez Canal, a vital link between continents, or the Panama Canal, connecting major ocean systems. These locations are no longer just geographic features, they are leverage points in a global power struggle. In this new reality, economics is no longer separate from geopolitics, it has become one of its primary tools. Section 2. The Map of Vulnerability. One of the most important insights from the report is that risk is no longer uniform, it is deeply regional. The world today is described as multipolar without multilateralism. This means that while power is distributed across multiple countries, the mechanisms for cooperation are weakening. In India, the rapid expansion of the digital economy has created both opportunity and vulnerability. As financial systems, governance platforms, and everyday transactions move online, cybersecurity emerges as a critical risk. A single large-scale cyber attack could disrupt not just businesses, but essential services and public trust. In contrast, sub-Saharan Africa faces a very different reality. Here, the dominant concern is state-based armed conflict. These risks are often driven by a combination of internal political instability, competition over resources, and external geopolitical interests. The consequences are not just local, they ripple across regions through migration, economic disruption, and humanitarian crises. Meanwhile, in Western economies, the focus has shifted toward economic pressures. Inflation, rising debt levels, and slowing growth are creating a different kind of instability, one that affects living standards and political cohesion. What emerges is a fragmented world, where each region faces its own set of interconnected challenges. Section 3. The Silent Risk. some of the most dangerous risks are not immediately visible. Misinformation, for instance, has emerged as one of the top global risks in the short term. In an era where information spreads instantly, the ability to shape narratives has become a powerful tool. With elections taking place across multiple major economies, the potential for AI-generated deep fakes and coordinated disinformation campaigns introduces a new layer of complexity. These are not just technological challenges, they directly affect democratic processes and public trust. At the same time, artificial intelligence represents a paradox. In the immediate future, it is not the highest ranked risk, but over the longer term, it is among the fastest growing concerns. This reflects a deeper uncertainty about how rapidly advancing technologies will reshape labor markets, governance, and even human interaction. Then there is societal polarization. Economic inequality, political division, and cultural fragmentation are creating internal fault lines within countries. These divisions make it increasingly difficult for governments to respond effectively to external threats. In many ways, the most significant risk is not a single event, but the erosion of cohesion within societies. Section 4. The 10-year horizon vs. today. The most striking part of the report is the contrast between short-term and long-term risks. In the next 2 years, the global focus remains on immediate challenges: economic instability, geopolitical confrontation, and inflationary pressures. These are urgent, visible, and politically sensitive issues. However, when we look at the 10-year horizon, a completely different picture emerges. Environmental risks dominate the long-term outlook. Climate change, biodiversity loss, and critical changes to Earth systems rise to the top of the global risk landscape. This creates a fundamental tension. The world is currently preoccupied with managing short-term crises, leaving fewer resources and less attention for long-term challenges that may have far more severe consequences. It is a classic case of reactive versus proactive thinking, and the cost of delay could be immense. The Global Risks Report 2026 does not present a single crisis, it presents a system under strain. We are moving into a world defined by competition, fragmentation, and uncertainty, yet, despite this shift, one reality remains unchanged. Many of the most critical risks, climate change, technological disruption, global health, cannot be addressed by any one country alone. This creates a paradox. Even as nations compete more aggressively, they remain deeply interconnected. The challenge for the future is not to eliminate competition, but to find ways to coexist within it. Because in an interconnected world, instability anywhere eventually becomes instability everywhere. So the question is not whether risks will shape the future. It is whether we are prepared to navigate them. Subscribe and stay ahead of the global shift.